lost a lot of faith in the news media and the way they operate, you know, and the way they present information sometimes. 95% of it is just all stories which are fabricated for the sake of selling newspapers and the like.
Yes, please.
If you happen to be part of that news or involved in part of that news, makes you angry because it's not correct, you know.
You're wonderful, Chris.
It just makes you angry. You think, well, geez, you can't trust none of the buggers.
A land and sea search is underway for the pilot of a light aircraft missing in Bass Strait. The plane was on a flight from Moorabbin in Melbourne across to King Island via Cape Otway. Department of Transport officials say the pilot was the only person aboard the single-engine Cessna. When the pilot reached Cape Otway, he reported all was well. But a few minutes later told flight service he had a rough running engine.
It'll still be part of the destiny.
Well, more or less everybody got destiny. When you're born, your destiny is already there anyway.
You know, UFO are still a very frustrated subject. It's very intangible. You can't touch it.
Flying along in an aeroplane, how could you actually pick an aeroplane up and physically take it somewhere? It's not possible.
I don't know what he saw, but whatever he said that he saw, he saw.
That motor control airplane, the little one, right, started from there. He was only 12 months old, put on this one. He can't understand, more or less, but he loved the noise, you know, up and down. And one day, this plane came out from the box, and he started to really fly. You know, he jumped a fence, he broke a window, normal, nothing special, and not a genius like people they try to say, oh, he was a genius or something, nothing like that. Sometimes he was good at school, sometimes not. It was hard for him. I mean, you know, like a normal person.
The ups and downs.
Yes.
Yep.
Corporal Frederick Valentich, a member of the squadron from the 18th September 1973 to 16th of March 76. During this time, Corporal Valentich proved himself to be a most capable and enthusiastic cadet. It is understood he now wishes to enrol for the commercial pilot's course, and to this end we wish him well and have no doubt he will apply the same keenness and efficiency towards this course as he did in his career as a cadet member of the squadron. And I signed it. And these kids are normal kids. They're not, you know, they come from suburbs all around Melbourne.
Our objective for existence is to give young people an insight to aviation. They get an insight to what it's like to put the uniform on and spend a week or 2 weeks living as an Air Force person. Flying was his life, but he had a social life as well, and he worked the two very well. If flying didn't fit in, social life went out.
Man in uniform. He loved flying. That was number one. Flying was more important than anything, really. Just what he wanted to do. Anything he wanted to do. Just become like a commercial pilot, fly for the airlines. Probably a month after we'd started going out. He took me just for him to get some hours up. Went down to Moorabbin Airport and hired a Cessna and just went for a fly. I loved aerobatic flying as well. Took me aerobatic flying. And that was a thrill. It was great. I took them as we flew up. That was the best one, with the clouds, just looked like a blanket of clouds. I wanted to just jump out of the plane and walk along it. The blanket looked so solid. And we had a few troubles on the way up. He was real calm and didn't worry about it.
Aircraft engines, he had an interest in the engines themselves. Airmanship, yes, he loved flying. He loved it very much. His wish was to go into the Air Force, but he was just a little bit too old, and unfortunately, to my mind, he gave so much to the Air Training Corps that he missed out on a lot of opportunities.
He went to fly, night experience or whatever they call, and he booked the plane for 4 hours. Instead, he did just an hour and a half or something. And when he came home, I asked why he came earlier, and he said, "Mom, up there, I have the feeling something follow me." I asked him if he's not lonely in the dark, especially during the night. Anyway, he said, no, it's something marvelous, beautiful. You can see the star, you know, and I feel really great up there.
The night before he went missing, he was at my place, and he did say he was scared of flying over the water. But he wasn't like scared like what the meaning of scared is, as, you know, terrified of. He was more scared of, the way he put it, was the water.
He wasn't a great, how to say, love of deep water. He wasn't a great love of swimming.
Well, he was supposed to pick me up. He said 7:30, 8 o'clock. It depends on, you know, how long it'll take him to come back. And from King Island, and it was 7:30, and I thought, oh, well, you know, he's probably on his way back or whatever. And it got to 8 o'clock, and I thought, he'll ring me soon, because he used to always ring, you know, and say, I'm late, you know, I'm on my way.
Go ahead.
Sierra Tango, contact Melbourne on 122, decimal 4.
Hotel Echo, contact
I'll call you my time, 304. White Charlie, Echo, Mill, Sales to
Taxis Kimo.
It's a subject, I suppose, which can easily be sensationalised and distorted, and what has happened is fairly straightforward, really, even though it's extremely mysterious.
Foxtrot, Melbourne traffic is Kilo Alpha Mike, 5 Heron, warning for Flinders Island, warning of 187,000 Flinders Island.
There is military airspace, military restricted areas associated with Point Cook down in that vicinity, right, but it was not active. So hence when he said, do we have any large aircraft planned to operate in the area, and then he mentioned military aircraft, well, of course, it threw us into a bit of confusion, because we should have had details on that type of operation.
Thanks.
Well, initially I thought what he was saying was there was a large aircraft operating in his area, possibly a military aircraft, and why didn't we know about the aircraft? Well, I went to control. I went to the air traffic controller, the radar controller, and to see if he had a radar paint on any large aircraft operating down that way. And unfortunately, the altitude of 4,500 wasn't high enough for the radar to pick up anything. What he was seeing was not an aeroplane, and was possibly a UFO or some atmospheric phenomenon. He mentioned, I think, a couple of green lights, a white light and a red light, and a sort of a silver, metallic-like, shiny surface. That's when it all got very, very mystifying.
News just at hand. The pilot of a light plane, thought to have crashed in Bass Strait last night, said just before losing radio contact that an unidentified object with green lights was heading straight for him. The frightened pilot told air traffic controllers that it was hovering on top of him and that it was not an aircraft, seconds prior to him being snatched away by the UFO.
Mr. Valentich, what do you believe has happened to Frederick?
Well, I really believe that he must have been struck with certain unidentified object.
Pilot of the aircraft radioed the Melbourne Flight Service unit here at Tullamarine and reported he was over Cape Otway, proceeding for King Island.
Mr. Valentich, what do you think happened to your son?
Well, it's hard to say, but I really believe that he must have been interfered with some
Melbourne Flight Service unit told him there
unidentified
wasn't. It was at
object.
that point that the conversation became decidedly mysterious. It's a fairly far-fetched sort of theory, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
The
but,
father of missing pilot Frederick Valentich said yesterday he hoped an unidentified flying object had been involved in his son's disappearance. He told reporters that he'd rather that than find wreckage of the plane.
When at first he didn't come, we thought that he had an accident, all right, that he probably fell down the sky. But then as the people come along from various newspapers, around about 11 o'clock, some journalist, I think it was from Channel 9, he mentioned to me that he heard about that there was to do with some strange object surrounding him. And when we first heard, that was the first hint that we have about UFO. And as they tell us, myself and my wife, we felt much more relief because we knew that Frederick always mentioning about UFO, that he would like to meet one, and our heart really opened up with a great big hope.
When I heard that, and I was more or less put on this way, don't get me wrong, I was happy. Because I said, at least he's somewhere.
That's right.
You know, not just went on a sea or crash or on a land or whatever.
I rang Moorabbin Airport straight away, and they said to me, how are you related? You know, why are you inquiring? And I said, oh, I'm Frederick's girlfriend, if it's Frederick. And then they said, yes, it is.
Well, the message I got through was, Fred's gone. I said, yeah, all right, well, that's good. And she said, he's gone. I said, well, look, he'll come back. And he said, he probably hasn't gone far. It sort of came on. I realised that what she meant by gone was she meant he'd gone into the bay, or he'd gone into a mountain or something like that. And I started to show more signs of life then. Made a few phone calls.
I got a call, first of all, from John Gibbs, and he suggested that perhaps I could see what I could do. Well, what I did, I rang the Tullamarine people and spoke to people there, and then I rang Moorabbin. It was fairly evident a pretty well-organised, full-scale search was to be conducted. Yes, I was extremely sad, I can assure you. We were expecting Fred on the night of the 21st of October. He's coming to this place here for dinner. Anne had a salad and he's bringing back some crayfish.
I saw someone on the Sunday night, and then on Monday it was the full force of all of them. Not just newspapers, it was also like the news for the TV, and just all come around to get their story.
I believe the major news areas, news medias, covered it with the information that they had, because there wasn't any there. What was it? The bloke had crashed, had reported a UFO. Where's the story? So they had to dig.
I think they really thought that I knew where he was, as if I knew what was going on. So, but I only knew from what they had already put in the paper and what I'd heard on the radio.
She also denied that she had gone to Cape Otway for the purpose of any secret rendezvous. The UFO reported by the pilot of an aircraft missing over Bass Strait could have been a top-secret United States military remote-controlled drone vehicle used to decoy radar from an attacking strike force. This is the theory of a former...
And not many people believe on the strange strange object.